you doing today?
I'm doing great. You want to hear a joke?
Good. Yeah, I want to hear a joke.
Well, finally my winter fat is gone. Now I have spring rolls.
Oh, goodness. Oh, Michael, I don't know about that one. All right. So, kids, what did we talk about last week?
The Bible.
Yes. In last week's story, how many men did Jesus heal, Michael?
Jesus has healed a lot of men in the Bible.
Yeah, but this last week's story, there was a specific number of men. And they had something very wrong with them. It was a certain kind of disease. You remember what it was called, too?
Mesothelioma.
No.
Oh.
How many men did Jesus heal, and what disease did they have? Come on, Michael. You can remember.
10.
Yes, that's right, boys and girls. 10 men. And what disease did all of these men have? Starts with an L.
Leprosy.
That's pretty close. Leprosy.
Leprosy.
And
that would be weird, leopard.
if you remember our previous stories about this particular disease, it was really, really bad, right, Michael? You could lose parts of your body. It was just a really bad way to go eventually. All right, so these 10 men, they were healed. Now, how many men actually came back afterwards to say thank you to Jesus?
A dozen.
There wasn't a dozen that got healed.
Oh.
How many? Do you think they all came back and said thank you?
They should have.
They should have. That's right, Michael, but only
one.
One. Very good. When they asked for help, Jesus had compassion. And what did he tell these men to do?
They had to wash off.
No. He didn't
No.
tell them to go wash off. What did he tell the men to do? He had compassion on them because they yelled out and asked for help from Jesus.
I don't remember.
Okay, he told them to go to the priest and show themselves. Remember, that's what they had to do when they believed that they were healed from leprosy, when they were well. If a person had gotten well from it, they were to go to the priest, show themselves, and prove that they were healed of it, okay, in order to go back into society with other people, okay? They couldn't go back and be around other regular people that didn't have that disease until they proved themselves to the priest. But actually, before they were healed, they still had all the yucky stuff on their bodies, and Jesus said, go show yourself to the priest. Do you think that the people around were probably like, what? Why is Jesus telling them to go to the priest now? Because they still look like they have the disease. Well, what happened on their way to go show themselves to the priest? Because they had faith, right? They went and did exactly what Jesus told them to do. And in doing that, what happened on their way there?
They were healed.
They were healed because they listened, had faith, and obeyed. They were all healed. But unfortunately, only one of those men, after they were healed, came back to say thank you to Jesus. Should we remember to be like that man when he was healed and came back to Jesus? When someone does something good for us, we need to remember to always say thank you, right? And this was a huge miracle, right? For them, changed their lives forever for the better. You would think that they would all have come back and said thank you to Jesus.
Yeah, I was taught, please and thank you are the magic words.
Right, that's right. And Jesus is teaching in this lesson from last week that we need to always say thank you for those good things that are done for us, those nice things, those kind words, those kind things that people do for us. All right, so we had that, and we have this craft that goes with it, okay? It's a sunflower I am thankful for. And on each leaf, they're going to put something they're thankful for, Michael. I have salvation, right? Asking Jesus into our heart, forgive us of our sins, our family, our friends, our teachers, our home, food, pets, toys, our church. Those are the things that I wrote. But you boys and girls can write whatever you are thankful for, all right? Okay, so that was last week's lesson. Let's go over our memory verse real quick, and then we'll get into this week's lesson. All right, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. Matthew 17:20b. All right, Michael, can you say it with me one more time?
Yes, I can.
All right. If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you.
Matthew 17:20b.
Very good, Michael. You were even getting ahead of me. You know it, don't you? All right. So, boys and girls, keep practicing that memory verse, all right? It's a really good one. I know it's long, but think about the words. Don't just say it, but think about the words when you're saying it and how powerful our faith is. All right. So our lesson for this week is also another very important one, like each and every one of them are, right? Jesus was talking to a crowd of people. Well, we've heard that before, right, Michael?
Yep, must be 10 men.
Is always talking to the people. And in this story, once again, Jesus is speaking to a lot of people.
Boy, they must really like each other, how close they stand to each other.
Yeah, well, there was crowds of people pressing in because they were just so excited about hearing Jesus and everything that he had to say. So, in our story, it tells us that these people some were pressing in really close to Jesus, okay, Michael? And then there were others that they wanted to hear what Jesus had to say, but they stood afar off, kind of in groups of 2s and 3s. And they were talking about Jesus, okay? Not necessarily good things that they had to say about him. Some crowded as close to Jesus as they could. They didn't want to miss a single word he was saying. But some people, Michael, gathered in little groups to keep their distance from Jesus. They whispered among themselves, does Jesus think that we Pharisees will associate with those sinners standing close to Jesus? Those people aren't worthy of our company. The Pharisees thought they were too good to be with others. Jesus knew what these men were thinking, Michael. He decided to teach them a lesson. Jesus often taught the people a truth by telling a story, a parable. The story Jesus told was about 2 men, a Pharisee and a publican. One day, Jesus began, 2 men went to the temple to pray. So there are 2 men going to the temple to pray. That's a good thing, right? So far, so good. The people who lived near Jerusalem often went to the temple to pray. It was a place to worship God. One man in the story was a Pharisee. The Pharisees were very strict in making up rules, over 600 of them, but many of the rules didn't make any sense. However, the only thing the Pharisees were worried about was keeping those rules. In keeping these rules, they felt very proud and very religious, and they thought themselves to be much better than other people who didn't keep those rules that they had made. Do you know anybody like that, Michael? That has a lot of rules that they have made up? Then Jesus continued his story. The other man in the story was a publican. This man was a tax collector. He turned his back on God when he joined with the Roman government. He became rich by charging the people more taxes than he should have, and by keeping part of the money back for himself. These two men, the Pharisee and the publican, went in the temple to talk to God. The Pharisee was proud God was listening to him pray, but how could God hear his prayer? All the Pharisee was doing was praying very loudly so other people would hear him. "Dear God," he shouted, "I'm glad I'm not greedy and selfish like that tax collector standing over there in the corner. He's a cheater." Then he began to tell God the good things he did. "I keep all the rules. I give you 1/10 of my money each week. I don't even eat food on certain days. I don't do anything bad." His prayers never got higher than the ceiling of the temple. The publican knew he wasn't a very good person. He bowed his head and beat his hands on his chest and spoke very quietly inside of his heart. So that only God could hear him. "Oh God," he prayed, "I don't have any right to have your mercy, but please forgive my sins." Then Jesus turned to the people. "Do you know whose prayer God answered?" "Yes, the publican's. And he went home a happy man because God had forgiven him." The Pharisee went home unforgiven. He thought he was better than everybody else. But God was not impressed when he told God all the good things he did. You see, the Pharisee wasn't talking to God at all. He was just talking to himself, telling himself how great and important he was. He was religious, but his heart was not right with God, and God did not hear his prayers. Self-righteousness, Michael, is very dangerous. It leads to something called pride, causing a person to hate others, and prevents one person from listening to and learning from God. So, very important lesson we learned today, Michael, about not being selfish and not thinking of ourselves as being better than anybody else, right? And when we talk to God, we don't need to be loud and boisterous, do we?
Nope.
So that everybody can hear around us? No. We should be quiet and respectful and talk to God in our hearts, right? I mean, it's okay to pray out loud, right? When someone asks you to pray out loud for everybody, but we don't make ourselves something that for everybody to look at, right? We don't pray out loud just for show, right? All right, so that was our lesson for this week, guys, and we went over our memory verses and we showed you the craft, so I guess we're ready to go. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye, kids.
Bye.